Welcome to Real Life Mentoring, where we explore real life issues to help you make an authentic difference in the world.
Hey, welcome back. We're Chris and Christina. Today we're going to be talking about a topic. Are you helping? Are you being
critical?
Are you offering correction? We're going to kind of unpack what all that looks like. Why? Because we believe that as a mentor, you should desire the best for your mentee, right? So it is important to be honest. Sometimes that honesty means offering authentic feedback in the form of helping, maybe some correction, but never, never, never being critical and damaging an important relationship. We want to look at Matthew 22, 37 through 39, because we really think that this is the purest example of helping and correcting others. I love how Jesus talks. He says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And then he says, the second's like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. So that begs the question, how do you want to be corrected, helped, given authentic feedback? We're going to unpack that today.
Well, left to myself as a human, I don't want to be corrected.
True.
But it's important. It's actually critical and necessary. It's part of our growth.
Right.
And so when I choose to be humble, correction actually is a wonderful thing.
And I think we could all spend lots of time talking about poor examples of how somebody has given us feedback, how they've corrected us horribly, how they thought they were helping us, but they were doing a lot more damage. So we want to offer some really good ways to approach giving somebody authentic feedback. We will unpack some of those ways that have been damaging and what you can do maybe to correct those situations. So the first thing we think about offering somebody correction or helping them, giving them authentic feedback, is asking yourself, is my motive pure? And I think when we ask ourselves that, why am I wanting to bring this up with Sally? Is my motive pure? If I want the best for Sally, my answer should be yes. How do we know if it's yes or no? We make no apologies. We approach things from a Christian perspective. Ask the Holy Spirit if you're not sure. Is my motive, Holy Spirit, pure about bringing this topic up with Sally? He'll answer you. And so then we know to proceed. And then once we got to that point, what is our motive? Is it to help Sally exceed? If it's anything other than helping Sally to succeed, then we probably don't need to approach and offer authentic feedback. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and there have been times in the past I initially thought I had a pure motive in giving information, correction, direction to someone, but in reality, I wanted to get my thoughts and my feelings out about a situation.
Get your point across.
Get my point across.
Yeah.
It's like giving a report. This is not giving a report. This is not what's the position? An auditor. Most companies are not excited about having that auditor come in because they're going to come in and they're looking for what?
Yeah, mistakes,
faults. And so there's always probably a nervousness there. This is not what this is about. What is my motive in giving you direction, correction, advice? Is that just to make myself feel better and get what I think is important out? Or is it really to benefit you? And I've done both.
Right. So before giving someone advice, a direction, any kind of authentic feedback, could be correction, could be information to help them, ask these things. And if you're unsure about your own motives, ask the Holy Spirit, are my motives pure? And then what are my motives? Is it to help my mentee succeed? And thirdly, am I being honest in what I'm saying? If we approach that, we're going to have a lot more success than failures in helping somebody, giving somebody authentic feedback.
This came to my mind. There have been I've learned, I seek out wisdom, and I've learned over the years. So I want to give someone feedback. I need to give them advice, or I need to hold them accountable in something that's not enjoyable to do.
Yeah.
And I know they may receive it the wrong way, So I've learned is to ask some other people. I believe I'm supposed to have this conversation with this person and make these statements. It may be hurtful to them. They may feel defensive. Give me your perspective. What I'm saying, how I'm saying it. How would you feel about that?
Yeah.
What do you think? And sometimes how you're saying it is spot on. It's healthy. Or, you know what? I hear some maybe anger in the words, how you've written it, or maybe it's judgment I'm hearing. So having someone help me clarify some aspects of what I'm wanting to say is important.
As a mentor, this is one of the areas that I've really, really, really had to grow in. I don't want people to feel bad. And probably early on in my role as a mentor with people when I was younger, I maybe would not hold somebody accountable, or maybe would not gently correct out of love, because I just didn't want them to feel bad. Now, with the help of some really great mentees, I find it's a very loving thing to do, to hold somebody accountable, to offer correction with love, not reproaching somebody, to not criticize, but to really, if I'm wanting the best for my mentee, I may have to have some authentic feedback conversations that don't feel fun, but it's actually loving my mentee very, very well.
Initially, I would think that adults don't need affirmation or confirmation, but we do.
Yeah.
So it makes me think when we were raising our 3 daughters who are now adults, I remember correcting them and but make sure you get on their level and then remind them, look, I love you. I'm right here. I love you, but this right here is unacceptable. That's got to change.
Right.
And so we think, well, people, when you become an adult, you don't need that anymore. But I don't think that's how God's made us. We still desire and need these relationships, and words matter to us.
Well, and let's be honest, I don't think all of us have had the best examples of people holding us accountable or loving us well enough to correct us. What have we seen, right? We've seen people just to choose to be dishonest and, oh, you're doing a great job, and then we get fired the next day or whatever, right? We've seen the poor examples. We've seen my experience. I've been a people pleaser, and I didn't want to ever rock the boat, and so I wouldn't maybe confront people. We've also seen explosive examples of they just let you have it, and there's a bomb that explodes, a verbal bomb, and then you just go on and, oh, okay, that's an unhealthy way to deal with things.
Can I give an example?
Please do.
Many years ago, I was in a position of leadership, but I had a man over me and some other people on the same team.
Yeah.
And we were told to put together this presentation, and we worked hard on it. And so we weren't given many guidelines, so we did the best we knew. Did it need some updates? Did it need some changing? Probably so. But when we presented it in a staff meeting, this leader, he had looked at it and just, I guess the word, we felt annihilated. He began, and this is not everyone's experience, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But some of you are experiencing and have experienced this kind of abuse.
Right.
He screamed, threw the book down, and he yelled at us as adults and said, go to your office and don't leave there until you have something worth presenting to me. And then we're just stuck. So we got up, feeling shame and I don't know what else, went to my office, we sat down, and we just looked at one another and I thought, did it need some changing? Probably so, but that just destroyed us.
Right. So
that's an extreme.
Yeah. We all have those extreme, right? Or we've been corrected where maybe we had a good product, but all that was pointed out were the negatives. Oh, this could have been better. This should have been like this. This should have been like that. And on the workplace, we're going to get that. Unfortunately, we've all seen that in close relationships, either by a parent, someone close to us, a teacher. So those are not the ways that we're promoting. We're saying approach it from these 3 questions. Is your motive pure in bringing up whatever you feel the need to bring up in the first place?
And you mentioned people pleasing earlier. This can also do great damage. let's say something needs to be said. I need
Sure.
to say it to whoever that person would be,
Uh-huh.
but I keep putting it off because I don't want to hurt them,
Right.
or I don't want to be seen in a negative light. I want them to like me, and it just continues. And at some point, it's too much.
Yeah.
And I have the opportunity to blow up and just spew on that person.
Right.
Instead of handling it way before, say, hey, look, this is a mistake you made, or this, I'm concerned about this, maybe this attitude, or something's going on. Let's talk through this. It's
Right.
not comfortable, but if we're not careful, it will build, and it will be really ugly and destructive down the road. You're
Right.
actually loving someone if you bring it up early on.
So let's go over those three. I started to do that. What you said was really good, though. Is your motive pure? First and foremost, assess, is my motive pure for bringing whatever is up to this person? And if you're not sure and you're a person of faith, ask the Holy Spirit to help clarify that. And then what is your motive? Is the motive to help them succeed? We're saying that should be the primary motive. And then thirdly, am I being honest in what I'm saying? Am I saying everything that needs to be said? For somebody and everybody's personality, some this may not be an issue. For some it will be. My personality, I don't want to tell maybe the full truth because I'm afraid it may hurt feelings, but I need to be totally honest in what I'm saying with somebody if I'm giving authentic feedback.
Do you have an example without revealing any names?
I'm just
Where you're honest. It's interesting. Can you be honest, but not totally honest?
Yes.
Is it honesty? Or I could say something like, I like your red shirt, but I may be thinking, that is so ugly on her.
Okay,
but
we're
I don't
getting
say
off.
That part.
Right,
I know.
right.
But what do you mean when you say, I want to be able to be honest, but I may not share all of it?
Well, I'm just saying if that's a struggle for certain personalities. So if somebody, I'm trying to think. Okay, years and years and years ago, I had a mentee. She just wouldn't follow through with anything. We would talk about an area of growth for her that she was committed to by her own admission. And she would say, I think I could take this course of action, and I was supportive, but she never followed through. And so I would say, it seems like there's some difficulty following through with these things. Yeah, I'm just not having time. I let it slide. What I should have said earlier on was, sweet girl, you're not being consistent here. Let's talk about this. Let's unpack that. Are there other factors? Is this too hard for you? Are you not really committed to this? I let it go too long. I just let her get by instead of being fully honest and talking with her about why she was not following through.
And let's clarify, there's so many relationships, I call them relationships, I don't know a better term right now, in our world where there's not trust and there's not transparency and there's not a sense of, man, you are really for me and vice versa. We're talking about authentic mentoring relationships. So we want to be able to be honest,
right,
and not hurt or destroy the other person, but simply cause them to stop and think, okay, maybe this needs to change.
Yeah. And it's never from a standpoint, if you've listened to this podcast long enough, I think this is a core value that you've gleaned, but let me just state the obvious. It would never be a mentor pointing the finger at a mentee in correction. That's not our stance. That's not a core value for us. It's in trusted relationships where there's been a lot of emotional and relational equity, where we are privileged enough to speak into the life of somebody, to call them up and not to ridicule, call them out, shame them. That would not ever be a stance that we take.
With that said, this episode is not about body language, but try this, guys. I'm joking. Do this. Point the finger at the person in front of you and tell them you need to, or you didn't do this, or you should have done this, and you will get a negative response, or the person may shut down or push back. So when we're giving someone a critique, correction, direction, our body language is important. I just not thought about that.
Right. And your personality is never an excuse. Like I've said several times, I tend to, maybe in the past, I don't think that's a tendency now, to be a little bit more passive. Or on the other hand, there can be people who are a lot more aggressive. I think you would say you're a little bit more aggressive in talking to men about certain issues. Personalities are never an excuse for behavior. What is your motive?
They're a gift that we've been given by God. Years ago, there was a young woman. She and I were talking, and we realized we had a similar personality style. And I remember she made the comment, "I just tell people how it is." And I remember thinking, well, that's good. But no, that's actually not good, guys.
That illustrates your personality is not an excuse.
Not an excuse.
To blow people over with your words.
That's just how I am. Well, get over it.
Right.
Mature.
Right.
Because you'll do damage to that relationship.
So I want to say it again. A good mentor will always desire the best for the mentee. Sometimes that means uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes that means giving authentic feedback that could be in the form of correction, helping, holding them accountable. But the way in which that is done is so, so valuable. Again, the 3 things that we're suggesting that will help in your efforts to have those authentic feedback conversations. Is your motive pure? Ask yourself. Don't move until you know that your motive is pure. And if it is pure, what is it? Is it to help your mentee succeed? And are you being honest in what you say? That will go a long, long way. Anything else as we tie this up?
There's a statement that we have here. People tell you their opinions by beginning with this statement: I need to be really honest with you. And then the hammer comes down. This damages relationship. That we want to be careful how we introduce the very topic of holding someone accountable.
Yeah.
Because I know how my chest will get tight. Well, I hate to tell you this, but
yeah.
I know, seriously, be careful how we introduce it.
And a whole other podcast I just thought is err on the side of asking questions. If you notice somebody, you need to, hey, I noticed this. Could you tell me why this reoccurs? Could you tell me what you're thinking? What goes on in your head when that happens? That could answer a whole lot of our questions and take us to new places than just say, every time we're together, XYZ happens.
Okay, good point.
See what
Asking
I'm saying?
some clarifying questions as opposed to giving statements.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Questions are so valuable.
Yeah, another statement. You're not going to like hearing this.
Right.
That just sets it up.
So you're good at giving examples of what not to do.
Yeah, don't do these things.
Right.
Anything else?
I think that's it. Desire the best for your mentee. When you do, you're always going to ask, is my motive pure? What is my motive? You're going to always want your mentee to succeed. And then be honest. Just be honest in what you say. We didn't see this at the beginning, but now by the end of this podcast, ask questions. Ask clarifying questions so that you can reach a really good clarifying end to what you wanted to ask in the first place.
And why would we do this? Because we want to help them.
We want to help.
We want to support people. We want to help them develop. And so asking the tough questions and making some, I would say, uncomfortable statements sometimes, it's just part of it. But if you back it up, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And if you've already done that, these kind of conversations happen usually when you've already built that relational equity up.
Yes, because we're human, and I could have a bad day, and I go, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, I need to talk to you about this. It may be, I may feel weaker that day. So just, man, can we affirm someone enough? I don't know. Can we?
I don't know.
Maybe
we're going to err on the side of affirming.
Yeah, affirming. Not evading the issue at all. We're not talking about that.
Right.
But affirming for the purpose of loving them well and go, how would I want to be confronted? How would I want to be corrected? How would I want to be given advice? It changes it when I think of it that way. Yeah,
sure does. So if you're going to be a mentor, you're going to have conversations, and the whole point of the conversation sometime when offering authentic feedback, they may be difficult, but go in with better equipped tools, ask lots of questions, check your motives, and I guarantee you the ending is going to be a lot better than maybe what you've experienced in the past. So as always, thank you for tuning in. We hope today has given you a solid tool in real life mentoring. want to thank you as always for listening. If today was helpful, if something that you listened to was helpful, we would really love it if you would go to Apple or Spotify, leave us a review, download, subscribe, and for all things related to podcast, if you'd like to give a financial contribution to help us continuing bringing this sort of broadcasting to you, just go to FahrenheitMentoring.org.